Alright everyone, Mark Zuckerberg likes propaganda, he likes money a lot, he doesn't really like the independent news thing. It's really funny because when Facebook was really early on, it was just for college kids and it was like basically a small social website. It wasn't like MySpace was gargantuan and Facebook was kind of the startup for the collegiate kids, and it's really funny to see Mark Zuckerberg just be a total turncoat when at the time he's like, oh yeah, we should be fair, people, they ever talk to their friends and stuff, and that's basically what it was. Now Facebook is experimenting with something that they swear, because it'll be controversial. If they came out and said, yeah, we're testing this for worldwide deployment, everyone would fucking hate them. So they swear up and down it's only for like Cambodia and Sri Lanka. I wonder why. They've got a new news feature where larger sites with a lot of money can pay to be on your news feed. Smaller sites that are unwilling or unable to pay will never be on there. So basically, people on the left, probably what will happen is they'll support this because Zuckerberg will come out and say, well, this is a way to make legitimate news will be on your news feed. So in other words, all local news is gone, all independent news is gone, a lot of foreign news will be gone from your news feed because, let's face it, a news service from Rwanda probably doesn't have the same budget as CNN. Yeah, I think that might become a little bit of a problem. So in other words, you're trying to stomp out all things grassroots and independent. This is happening elsewhere online too. Small users get fucked, independent users get fucked. Big corporate firms and the people they're associated with, they get priority user on YouTube. Wow, how lovely. They get a special verified status on Twitter. Ooh, so great. They get this wonderful, their page is consistently promoted on Facebook. Wowee, wowie kazowie, it's so wonderful. Don't you see how this is fundamentally a struggle between big corporate and big money and big rich, powerful, luxurious, and everybody else? Like the grassroots 99% of the population of the friggin' world, including a lot of larger creators that still get stepped on because they're not part of that special priority class. That's truly what's happening. Now Facebook wants to do that to news. See, the way they do that is simply the big sites will automatically pay them. So Zuckerberg loves it because he gets billions probably. Because the big news services, BBC and CNN and Al Jazeera and RT and all the big firms, they'll gladly pay up. Because they want to compete with one another. As long as one of them is doing it, the rest aren't going to stop. It's not like they're going to have a boycott of Facebook's new news feature and say, no, we all refuse to pay. No, somebody will pay. And they'll say, okay, all you losers, we'll be the only news service on the friggin' newsfeed. This is going to be great. And pretty soon they'll all end up having to pay. That would become a problem. Meanwhile, all the small services get screwed. So Zuckerberg gets to have his cake and eat it too. He gets a lot of money from his friends, the big firms that are, they're willing to pay billions of dollars in some cases. Meanwhile, he also gets to stomp out independent content. How wonderful for Zuckerberg, because he obviously hates it. Independent commentators might actually criticize his plan. Therein lies the problem of big tech sites that reign over, basically a speech apparatus. What do you do when a lot of people really don't like you because you start abusing them? Instead of pulling back and saying, okay, yeah, you're kind of right, I'm sorry about that, you double down. That's become the problem of Facebook. It's also becoming the problem with Twitter, and I'm worried it becomes a problem in the future with YouTube. It already has with monetization, but I mean going further than that. Now I'm optimistic, I keep echoing this, I'm optimistic long-term about the internet's chances of staying free and open and decentralized. But you have to go through the mini dark age and you have to be activistic about it. If you're not, if you're just complacent, then the dark age lasts forever. Then you lose the internet, the most powerful tool of human communication ever concocted. And also a good way, by the way, to stop government overthrows when they're shitty or to stop wars. Look at what happened in Tunisia with Facebook there. During their counter-revolutionary period when the militants were trying to take over, they were organizing, the government wouldn't let them do anything else. They organized on Facebook. It was great. Student protests in Turkey. Why do you think Erdogan hates Twitter so much? It's becoming a problem for the establishment. It's becoming a problem for corporations. These tech firms, therefore, the other corporations get together and try to wine and dine them. They give them a carrot. If they won't take the carrot, if they want to remain independent, semi-autonomous, they try to give them the stick. That's what they're doing to Google right now. They're trying to give Google the stick. They're trying to give Google the stick by depriving them of ad revenue to get them to censor content so that they can get in on the game and make more and more money, and meanwhile throw more and more money to Google. So it just becomes one big amalgamated corporate bullshit apparatus. That's why I support alt tech. By the way, you should join me on Gab, you should join me on Minds, you should join me on VidMe and BitChute. They're good sites, they're just as functional. Hell, Minds more so than Facebook is. Also more fun. It's just the way it is. I think that in the future, we're going to see an internet that is increasingly split between, on the one hand, very rich, very corporatistic, and on the other hand, everyone else. That's what I think is going to happen. But Facebook has been promoting propaganda for a long time. Like, Facebook comes out when people are saying, oh, some Russians made ads on Facebook during the election. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, he could be evil. He could be corrupt, but he's not dumb. You can't be dumb and accomplish what he's accomplished. He knows full fucking well that the election was not swung by a few tens of thousands of dollars of Russian-sourced ads on Facebook. He knows full well maybe 2 people changed their votes because of that, if anybody did. Probably nobody. Nobody even pays attention to ads. Half the time they're serving to someone who doesn't look at them. Nobody cares what they see in advertisements. There's a reason why these firms have started to decrease the budgets they're deploying for ads on Facebook, Twitter, and Google. Even sites like Zuckerberg's site that have bent over backwards to kiss the ass of CNN and the US government. Even sites like that are seeing declines in ad revenue over time because they simply don't work. If I own some company, I'm not going to take out ads knowing that the return is minute. I may run the occasional ad campaign to tell people, hey, my company exists, so I can get the free revenue from other sources. People see the ad and then they weigh in on my product. You know, they make a YouTube video. No, I want to engage directly with the consumers and get them interactive with whatever I'm selling them. I want them to, it's like when people make like Spoon Clank or 10.2 videos, when they make some vaporwave remix of something I've said, I fucking love it. I love, you should do more of those. I love it when people make videos that mention me. Even if they're for the purposes of critical commentary. I love it because it's free advertisement for me. I don't need to run an ad campaign. I'm just sitting here. People can actually interact with me. They can't interact with CNN. It's not even a person. It's an amalgamation of people. It's not one entity. It's an amalgamation of entities. So they need ad campaigns. They're starting not to work. They're getting real upset about that. They're also losing their audience because their audience is, old enough to be Joe Biden's grandpa. It's becoming a problem too. Well, I hope that they stop existing. I think that may be a little too optimistic for the next decade or two. But they're losing power. Good. It's wonderful. Facebook is promoting a bullshit model where grassroots independent stuff gets thrust out of your newsfeed, which works really well for Zuckerberg because even they will try to scrape together enough money to run an ad campaign. But even smaller users won't. So by the way, to all of you on the ideological left, I know there's a tendency for a greater appreciation of, oh, well, yeah, I like Sri Lankan bongo making and fucking, feng shui, India style, and I listen to like South African music, like cultural appreciation. You might call it appropriation if you've got pink hair. Okay, well, you're not going to see most of those foreign news services. The fact is, the Malawi News and the Trinidad Tribune and South Africa Press, they don't have as much money to spend on these things as CNN does. They just don't. CNN and BBC and some of these other firms. Hell, RT. The Pravda. Yeah, Russian news firms, they can pay it. They'll have no problem, trust me. Only now they won't have smaller competitors. Sputnik might not be there, but Pravda will. The Telegraph may not be on there, but the BBC will. Yeah, Fox News will be there. Yeah, wonderful. You're going to sit there cheering, oh, the Nazis don't have a news service. But you spent like 20 years saying Fox was like Nazis or something. Or not 20 years. Have they even been around 20 years? Can't even recall. Thought they formed in the mid-90s or something. So yeah, it would be about 20. I'm losing track of times. I'm becoming demented, having to deal with this bullshit all the time. Zuckerberg, he gets me mad. I start forgetting things. I mean, he's crazy. And he's probably a corrupt, evil, despicable person in his true life. He looks robotic, rubs people the wrong way. I don't sit there worrying about him running for the presidency, but I do worry about him lobbying Congress to pass a whole new bullshit censorship laws to try to cripple smaller competitors. The real worry is the big tech firms will get together and start doing what the advertisers are doing to them, which is try to shut out all the other sites as much as possible. They in turn will lean on domain registrars, I think, at some point. We've got to tackle this issue. We've got to try to get Congress to declare these sites de facto public works. All right, do what you want, but there are certain stringencies involved with doing what you want. The users have rights too, because that's the whole point of your site. You're going to provide such a platform, you're going to have to respect people to some degree. We wouldn't let Google say no black people can use YouTube, would we? Well, then why do we allow the YouTube or Facebook something to say, no, nobody without their political views that might possibly offend somebody can use our service? What's the difference? Really, what's the difference? Or people of a certain religion, if they said, well, no Christians are allowed to use this, it gets sued. So then why do they get to say, well, people who have generally Christian affiliations that happen to be more religious than mainline can't use the service because it's offensive? It doesn't make sense. Why do we let them get away with that sort of thing when we could just create a new classification for businesses for them? It'd be easy. Congress can do that at a whim. Trump would probably sign off. I don't think the court would have any problem with it either. The court would look at it and say, well, it's just an extension of the First and Fourth to individuals, towards entities whose only purpose is to facilitate communication. Yeah, of course. It's like, let's say you use FedEx or something. You know, you got the U.S. mail, but then you got a site like FedEx. It's a private business. Could FedEx say to the government, hey, for packages through our service, you don't need a warrant to look inside of them? Do you think that would fly in a legal sense? No, I don't. Because the explicit purpose is, hey, we're transferring information and goods. There is an explicit Fourth Amendment coverage of the parcels that we're sending off to. There's a reason for that. It's just sort of the way it is. Zuckerberg's nuts. Facebook, by the way, is in decline. It clearly is. By the end of this year, I wouldn't be surprised if I have more followers on Minds than I do on Facebook. My Facebook presence is slowly in decline. Like, nobody is signing up for the page. Because you know what? Nobody uses Facebook. A lot of people have just stopped using it altogether. It's a nonsensical site. Zuckerberg's a nonsensical person. He's too busy having fun with other sites that he's bought up. The reason he's buying up those other sites, because he knows Facebook's going to fall flat at some point. You know, the average user on Facebook's probably in their 30s by now. It's not like YouTube. YouTube continues to be relevant. Twitter pretty much continues to be relevant. Facebook, odd man out. Fiscally going to become insolvent, I think, over time. That's about all. Peace out.